of us are suffering at the mercy of the madmen on this street, because all of us are victims of class warfare being waged on us by the 1%, because these greedy banksters rob the country, leaving us without the means to pay the rent, because the last time that we had a decent government was about 1932. Because we the people are supposed to run this country, but instead it's all run by and for the few. Because now we know the rich do not pay taxes, but when they need a hand it's us who bail them out. Because we suspected we lived in a plutocracy, but suddenly of late there is no doubt, and so we're gonna stay right here. We're gonna stay right here. Because both my parents lost their savings.
I think it is as it is. I think I'm not going to create too much, negativity around it. I think it's happened, and it's just a reflection that the laws and the institutions of the state are currently failing to serve the needs of the people. And but I think it was also. A lot of evidence came up about there was recognition in that matter. There was recognition by the judge of the feelings of the people and the truth and the validity of what they are saying. I guess as an individual, he didn't feel that he could take the steps that would be necessary to reflect proper justice, and that would ultimately end with his resignation, because he has to follow the law, as he puts it. The point is that the law doesn't, in this country, most of the law doesn't reflect what is right. So he chose to follow the law of the United Kingdom above what he possibly knew in his heart was right. And I noticed that as he delivered his verdict, he couldn't really bring himself to look into the eyes of the people that he was in front of. A possible indicator that he didn't really feel very comfortable, but he kind of felt he had to do that. And who knows what his motivations are, or the fears that may be acting upon him.
Do you think that the ODA won?
Do I think that the ODA won? Well, yeah, I guess technically, legally, yeah, they won their legal battle, which entitles them to the use of armed force to achieve what they want to achieve. So, in the legal sense, they won. Are they right? Do they have right on their side? I don't think so. Yeah.
How do you think we can reply? Is there any way we can reply to this result?
We always have non-violent, peaceful civil disobedience available to us. Ultimately, if we all were to engage in peaceful civil disobedience, then there is no government on earth that would be able to do anything against the will of the truth or the will of people. So I guess it's always a personal decision about to what extent you are prepared to sacrifice your time, freedom for something that you believe in. So I guess that's a question of weighing up what is a priority to you. It might be that you want to practice civil disobedience on something you see as more significant. In this case, we have done a certain degree of civil disobedience, and it has proved to be effective in the sense that it has created an energy around it, which has made a lot of people pay attention. But civil disobedience can also be a means of actually, ultimately, of actually being a peaceful counter-friction and slowly stopping the power, the authority, the activities of an authoritarian regime.
Okay.
But it comes at a cost. It does come at a cost. It's not for free.
Okay. What do you think this case has demonstrated to the general public?
This is another High Court case. They happen every day of the week. Injustice flows through our institutions like blood flows through the body at this present time. And ultimately it is down to human beings when they realise or recognise their relation to the state, to the government. It's up to them to determine when they decide to disobey, to refuse cooperation, to practice civil disobedience. But yeah, I just think that every day we saw with the Occupy case, St Paul's, and numerous other examples of how the law, ultimately the law that is created by our parliamentary democratic system, which in the end we have to ask, what is the purpose of the law? Is it there to serve? Is it there to uphold what is true and what is right? And if not, what purpose does it serve? And at the moment, it seems that the laws are being created to protect a monopoly of some form, a monopoly of authority, a monopoly of access to resources, a monopoly of control.
Okay.
And so therefore, that puts an impetus on the ordinary citizen to question, should I obey this government? Should I obey these laws?
The outcome's to be expected, and that's all there is. I mean, we could have, they could have been burning people on that ground, and they still would have got the injunction. The matters of public health and safety, and worker safety, which are a real concern, have not been addressed. The judge at the end, everything that the claimant. Statement the claimant made, he made it sound like it was fact, and everything that we said was considered to be a belief or a conviction, whereas really the facts are very clear, to do with the toxicity of the soil, and to do with the fact that they're thinking of building on that site after the basketball.
Do you feel that the ODA won?
Well, they got what they sought after anyway. So yes, they did, but it's not about against the ODA. It's not against that. It's actually about a more fundamental point that the public will once again, and their safety is being put at jeopardy for money.
Okay. Do you think there's any chance of replying to this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the judge in his statement said these were legitimate concerns, and we can refer back to that when we launch our case against the ODA and the Lee Valley Park Regional Authority.
Okay. What do you reckon? What do you think is this case has demonstrated to the general public?
I think it's demonstrated by the fact that we were unable to get legal representation, by the fact that someone put themselves forward as a defendant but was unable to obtain legal aid so that we could afford a solicitor. Just goes to show again that we're really fighting an uphill struggle.
Okay. How is Leighton Marchok related to Occupy? What's your opinion?
The members of Occupy, the Occupy movement, were asked to help carry on the blockade, which was started by a group of 60 to 70-year-olds who were stopping vans initially because they were concerned. And when the elders of your community are out in force, then it's time for us to take notice. And it's important for people to research the facts of this case, because it once again demonstrates that big business is the priority over community well-being.
Okay. Do you think the main goal was to stop the Olympics?
No. No. This was about natural land in the metropolis being preserved for the use and the therapeutic use of which it is, and for the enjoyment of all, regardless of how rich or poor you are.
What do you think that all this case has demonstrated to the general public, if anything?
The case?
everything, all these actions together. When
the fact that people have to stand up and they have to speak out, you know, if we're not happy with the outcome of this court case, then we have to take action. It's just a necessary thing. We can't complain about what was done. We have to be the change. We have to, you know, if we're not happy with a basketball court training facility being built, then take your stand. Stand there. If that means obstructing, then obstruct. But we can't just wait until decisions are made and then complain about it. We have to take action.
what's your intention ever to stop the Olympics, the Olympic Games, or with all this action?
It wasn't about the Olympics. It was about the piece of land and the importance that the land was to the people and just to people in general. I love, you know, green and open spaces and the earth, and it's all about having places like that to go to and just to be and relax in.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was about the land and the people, the right to land.
Right, Anita, thanks very much and well done.
Thank you.
Instance of Leighton Marshes, it was actually to draw light on and to ultimately to encourage people to engage in peaceful civil disobedience, so that we could actually change what was happening at Leighton Marsh, so that we could bring about a situation where the awareness of what was going on there reached such a critical mass that the authorities basically had no option but to stop. Not necessarily by physical force, but almost by sheer awareness spreading throughout the whole of the local area, society, and even the people that work in the institutions themselves.
I know you recently had the honor to get a ASBO award.
Oh, yeah. Got my Olympic ASBO.
What's your reaction to that ridiculous approach to policing?
It's just an indicator that, I mean, I'm sure I won't be the first. I'm probably not the first. I probably won't be the last to get one of these ASBOs. I know that a lot of other people have had them before for different things, but yeah, I mean, it's an indicator to me that it's the age-old use of force to control, and I don't feel serious dis-ease about it. I am breaking my ASBO now, happily, civilly breaking my ASBO. I'm about to go back to the strip of land in front of the Lee Valley Ice Centre, which is owned by Waltham Forest Council, where I don't have permission to be, so I'm breaking prohibition 3 of my ASBO. And I'm also within 100 yards of an Olympic route, so I'm breaking prohibitions, I think it's 1 and 2 of my ASBO, so that's great. And yeah, continue to breach any ASBO, any injunction, and if needs be, occupy the prison, because in the words of Henry David Thoreau, in an unjust society, the only place for people that want to be just is ultimately in prison. Because when you're in prison for something that isn't ultimately wrong, that is like the canary in the mine, yeah, and I think that they can only control so many people. It's actually, the state is not as powerful as people make out. It's a bit of a paper tiger. We can fill up all the prisons to the point when the emperor will have no clothes. They won't be able to build as many prisons. In the end, they'd have to actually lay it down and say, we can no longer control the populace. But I believe we have to maintain peace and compassion. I think that's essential, because if we start to use the same techniques as the state uses, the same violence, the same antagonism, the same lack of compassion, we will only end up recreating the same machine that oppresses us at the moment, and we don't want to recreate the same problem again.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Simon, brilliant. Thanks for
again.
Because we've noticed voting doesn't change things when the politicians are mostly millionaires. Because we're learning how to stand up like Tunisians, like they did in